News at 7:30.
I stand before you to officially launch my campaign for a second term as President of the United States.
And there you have it, perhaps the worst kept secret in political history, coming to fruition last night as President Trump officially announced his re-election bid for 2020. So what do we make of this rally/announcement last night, and just how does he stack up against the nearly 24 Democrats who are challenging him? Here to discuss all that and more, our host of Tampa Bay Business, Rod Thomson, and local attorney, as well as former Democratic candidate for the congressional seat in the 16th District, David Shapiro. Let's start with you, David. This guy can talk, can't he? He went on for a while yesterday.
Right, and you know, we've all heard it before. It's basically the greatest hits. We heard the lock her up. We're still talking about Hillary 3 years later. There was nothing really new. You know, he seems to just keep hammering away at his base. No one's surprised he's going to run. So yeah, it's more of the same. I think they figured out he's had over 10,000 lies. There were a few of them they called out last night. It's just nothing new, you know.
But if it's the same rhetoric that worked in 2016, you know, maybe it's good to stick with that winning strategy, right, Rod?
Well, I would say, interestingly, he's probably in a better situation than he was in 2016. For one thing, for a number of reasons. Number one, in 2016, there was this great fear that he was going to blow up the country. Well, it turns out not only did not blow up the country, that actually things are a lot better for a lot of people. We have an energy and a passion in the base for Trump that's actually probably even higher now than it was in 2016. This is historic amounts of energy for an incumbent president and running for re-election. You just don't find 20,000 people with another 5 or 10,000 that couldn't get in. Again, I know a lot that didn't go over because they knew they weren't going to get in. For a president that's running for re-election, you have also, I would say, you have a united GOP now behind him. In 2016, you most certainly did not.
He was an outlier.
He was, and it was it was a long, hard, divisive battle. There was a lot of never-Trumpers in the GOP party. There's just a tiny little rump few left. Most everybody is coalesced behind the president, and maybe most importantly for all those suburban moms and all and the middle voters is that we have an incredibly strong economy. We have a GDP that's continuing to be way above where it was during the Obama years, even though we're into years 9 and 10 of an expansion. When it should have been over by now, it's still strong. And the key here, I think, the key is the unemployment numbers. You have the lowest unemployment rate since 1969. You have the lowest unemployment rate on record for Black Americans, for Hispanic Americans, for Asian Americans, for Americans without college degrees. You have the lowest unemployment rate for women since for 65 years. I mean, you just have an incredible amount of good things happening, even foreign policy is.
But truly, I mean, all those things are great to talk amongst ourselves as political.
Disagree on those economic numbers.
Really?
I keep hearing, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I keep hearing that, well, people still have to work 2 jobs to 2 incomes or whatever. Well, they did during the Obama years too. You guys weren't having apoplexy over that. The point is that these are raw data numbers.
Right.
We have 4 million fewer people on food stamps now than we did when Trump took office. 4 million fewer. That means 4 million more people have a little bit more self-worth, are contributing to the economy, have purpose getting up in the morning. It is good for them. That is a good thing. There's plenty of bad, but not good. This is why I think he's actually in a much better position than he was in 2016.
That certainly points to that, but when you get into national political races like this, it becomes a beauty contest. Is there anyone that the Democrats could put out into an Amway arena and get 20,000 people, do you think, David?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. The Democrats are energized, and I disagree with Rod. These are trending with the Obama administration. You know, I think the economy is doing well in spite of Donald Trump. I mean, he is the tariffs he's imposed. Our standing in the world is incredibly poor now, thanks to Donald Trump. Even our allies, our once allies, are now our enemies, and now the other folks are not. I mean, I heard what he said. I don't even know where to start. But I do believe that the Democrats offer something better. There's a lot of them, and I think it's an embarrassment of riches in my mind. I mean, I I think all of them, it'll be interesting to watch, and some of the proposals I'll have. And I think there are some problems.
Does that not,
You know,
with a field like this, though, doesn't that present a problem? And just the fact that the game of attrition, winnowing down that number, is going to take a great toll, even on the standard bearers.
Well, I believe that early on, because fundraising, it's going to have a shift. They're going to fall off. It just is natural. They won't be able to raise the money, so it's going to thin out a little bit. And we're going to see this debate where people are going to be able to size up everyone. We know the names, Joe Biden, of course, Elizabeth Warren. Now some of the others are going to get some airtime, and we'll all make a decision on that. We'll hear their points. I think it'll be wonderful to see them all over the course of 2 nights and make a decision on what direction we want the country to go. And I think he's going to have the poll numbers, even internally with Trump, show that he's in trouble. He's in trouble in states like Texas. I mean, even Florida.
Some of those polling numbers that came out during the discussion with George Stephanopoulos. And I want to get, I know both of you are champing at the bit. Look at the mouth right here. He's ready to go. But we got to take a break. It's the format, man. We have to take a quick break. And we'll be right back discussing more about last night's announcement, next week's big debates, everything coming up.
Our radical Democrat opponents are driven by hatred, prejudice, and rage. They want to destroy you, and they want to destroy our country as we know it. Not acceptable. It's not going to happen.
And there you have it. That's the president talking about his race for the White House, part 2. Rod Thomson and David Shapiro joining us for a little bit of a roundtable on the extension of the 45th presidential term. And David, what are your thoughts about hearing him just bash the party?
Yeah, I hear it, and it angers me for multiple reasons. One, he's dividing the nation. That's not what the president's supposed to do, number one. Then of course, there's the lies. The Democrats want to destroy them, the people in the audience, the people of America. Healthcare, affordable healthcare, that's destroying people, a livable wage. And I disagree with Rod. I work with people, a lot of people. People are struggling, even with a job. They can't make it. They can't afford to live on the wages they had. There's a disparity of wealth in the United States is problematic. I mean, we can go on in terms of Trump and his policy. What has he done? He passed this tax law that certainly benefited the wealthy.
I'll tell you what he's done. I can tell you what he's
done.
done.
Nothing.
All right.
You just haven't been following the news cycle if you say he's done nothing.
Now, they've been able to pass, I mean, what they've done is, through the Senate, put some judges and justices in place. But in terms of any real legislation, other than the tax law, which we now learned that's not helping anybody, or it's helping the wealthy. Even when I ran for Congress.
I don't even know what you're watching, David. The tax cuts were beneficial to 80% of Americans. 80%. That is coming out from the CBO, the Congressional Budget Office. 80% of Americans helped by the tax cuts. We know that hundreds of billions of dollars flowed back into the country to reinvest because they were parked offshore because of the tax cuts. He has deregulated. This is huge for the economy. He has deregulated more than any president in recent history, in part because Obama regulated so much. He's deregulated. All these things take the shackles off of private businesses, off private enterprises, off companies. It allows them to invest, to innovate, to hire. They have a certainty. We got rid of more of the Obamacare burdens that were also part of the regulatory stuff. Look, all of this matters, and I am not persuaded by people anecdotally say, yeah, but the guy down the street, I mean, I dealt with, he's got real hard times. I get it. But the facts that I gave you in the previous segment were actual data facts. 4 million people are no longer on food stamps. I'm sorry, everybody's not Bill Gates. That's not the way the world works. But things are better under Trump than they were under Obama, demonstrably, measurably, not emotionally, not opinionatedly, better.
And we're talking about ideological differences here as well, not just statistics. So, I mean, this is, it is a divided country, I think you said, David, but is this President Trump's fault, or is this those who are dividing the country's fault?
You know, that is a good point. I mean, it's 24-hour Trump, number one. I mean, that's not healthy at all. You know, with the media and social media, and I think it's very divisive, and he fuels the flame. He is definitely a divider. He's not a uniter. It's just impossible to deal with this guy because if his lips are moving, he's lying. I mean, so that's quite. And how do you know when he's talking if Iraq is being aggressive? How do you know he's telling the truth?
Because our intelligence agency says he is.
But he doesn't believe in the intelligence agency.
If you believe
Well,
them for the whole
and here we're going to
Europe
open
thing,
a big can.
now.
We're going to open
Oh,
a
yeah.
big can
I
of
mean,
worms
the
right now because
intelligence agencies.
either we believe the CIA or we don't, and we can't have it just conveniently when it
Right.
backs up
Exactly.
what we believe. So there is a disconnect, and I think it is this codifying piece of the president saying, "I want to run again." Is there now just from the Democrats? Is it anybody but Trump?
No, I don't believe that's the case. I think that the Democrats want to move the country forward. We have their ideas in place that'll make people's lives a little bit better. I don't agree with every single thing that's coming out of the mouths of every single candidate. I do know and do believe that they all have the same goal in mind, maybe a different way to get there.
Okay.
I do believe that the Democrats are concerned, and when I ran for office, this was a major concern of people. They don't have to be Bill Gates to want decent health care. And they don't want to give into it, they want to work for it, but it's got to be affordable. You can't allow the pharmaceutical companies and the health insurance companies to have their way with people constantly. There's something wrong with that.
All right, we got to wrap up real quick because we're up against a hard break again. I apologize because this is good discussion, but real quickly, who's going to give Trump the biggest problem? One word.
Biden?
Harris.
Harris.
But they won't win. Their radicalized agenda is too much. You can't have socialism and increasing taxes and reparations
All right.
and
Friendly bet?
abolishing ICE, open borders. You can't have all that and win.
Friendly bet?
Yep.
No, I think that both are going to get in trouble. Who knows? Maybe it'll be Biden and
It's going to be a
Harris.
close race. I bet we agree on that. No matter who it is,
gonna be fun to
it'll
watch.
be close and it'll be entertaining and it'll be horrifying all at the same time.
We're out of time. But you're right. All right, there you go. See, shaking hands. All right, we want to thank both Rod and David for joining us this evening.